The armored soldiers stare ahead with wide, tense eyes. As they advance cautiously through the cavern, one of them stammers, confused by the aftermath. It's revealed that the Knoll subjugation has already concluded, thanks to the timely arrival of the Imperial garrison. Whatever threat had been present is no longer a concern. Ms. Ouroboros, having concealed herself just before they arrived, leaves behind a vast fortune. The soldiers quickly begin collecting the gold. The Imperial garrison confiscates everything from the cave, loading carts with bags full of loot. Under strict orders, nothing is left behind, as the soldiers prepare to transport it all. However, a twist emerges. Minipins, now resting and bandaged up, seems surprised when Vicar approaches him with a money pouch. Vicar explains that the pouch contains the money he earned from selling leftover loot and the official reward for helping in the Knoll subjugation. Despite the confiscation, he still managed to benefit. Vicar adds that while the leather was destroyed in the chaos, he earned a fair sum by selling Knoll bones, teeth, and even toenails. Minipins listens with a faint smile, clearly impressed. While resting in bed, Minipins admits he's still in pain, but is relieved to hear he'll recover fully. Vicar reassures him, noting that someone of his strength wouldn't be called a gladiator for nothing. Vicar hands over a pouch filled with coins. It's a gift, offered without expectation. Minipins holds the bag, surprised by its weight and meaning. As Minipins opens the pouch, his eyes widen. Inside is a pile of gold. Vicar explains it's enough to cover the hospital bills and compensate for his role in the subjugation, knowing he won't be able to work anytime soon. Overwhelmed, Minipins tries to respond. He starts to say Vicar's name, but quickly shifts to respectfully address him as Sir, clearly moved by the gesture. As Vicar prepares to leave, Minipins asks if he's heading back to the academy. Vicar confirms with a simple nod, showing little emotion but clear resolve. Minipins quietly acknowledges it. Though their time was brief, he expresses his gratitude for getting to spend time with the so-called hero of Baskerville. Curious, Vicar asks if Minipins has any knowledge of monster ecology. Taken aback, Minipins responds with surprise but interest. Minipins explains that during his youth, he traveled across the continent studying monsters. He became skilled at identifying different species, their subspecies, and their behaviors, showing he's more than just muscle. As Vicar rises to leave, Minipins watches him with a mix of admiration and sadness. Vicar simply acknowledges Minnie's words and turns away without further comment. Moved by the moment, Minipins looks up with teary eyes and asks Vicar to wait for him, promising he'll return once he's recovered. With a soft smile, Vicar responds that he'll ask for Minipins again soon, showing he values his strength and loyalty. Outside the office of Mr. Banshee Morgue, marking the beginning of Vicar's next step at the academy. Professor Banshee Morgue sighs in frustration, buried in paperwork. He complains to himself, feeling as if he's shouldering the entire academy's workload alone. A knock interrupts him. Without turning, he calmly tells the visitor to come in, expecting another routine matter. Dronzer walks in with determination. Before she even speaks, Morgue suspects she's there to lecture him again. But she firmly clarifies, she's there to advocate for students needing scholarships. Dronzer presents a petition. It includes appeals from students struggling financially, those who couldn't maintain grades due to part-time jobs, and those who did well but still can't afford tuition. Morgue listens, visibly displeased but attentive. Dronzer continues firmly, pointing out that some students receiving scholarships are actually wealthy and should be reevaluated. Professor Morgue narrows his eyes, acknowledging that many students pretend to be poor to get benefits. He agrees those scholarships should be revoked and redirected to those in real need. He reminds Dronzer that scholarships follow academy rules, and as the student council president, it's her duty to enforce them. Dronzer insists they reinvestigate to ensure fairness. Morgue sighs in frustration, asking if she's giving him more work. Dronzer stands strong, declaring it's her duty to speak for struggling students, no matter the workload. Professor Morg explodes in frustration, questioning who will compensate him for the extra workload. He sarcastically demands a salary raise for the doubled responsibilities. Dronzer glares back, furious. She refuses to accept his excuse, emphasizing that doing twice the work isn't an acceptable reason to ignore the student's needs. Slamming her hands on the desk, Dronzer yells that this isn't just paperwork, it's about the future of the students. A student quietly enters in the background, unnoticed amid the tension. Caught off guard by her passion, Morg stares at her in silence. He mutters a single word, "You," as if realizing her conviction isn't something to brush off. Vikir enters the professor's office unannounced, carrying a bag. Morg, visibly annoyed, scolds him for his lack of manners and questions whether his father ever taught him basic etiquette. As Morg mocks his upbringing, Vikir recalls his father's harsh words, "Respect the strong, weakness is a sin." The motto of the Baskerville family echoes in his mind, leaving him silent. Without hesitation, Vikir firmly replies, "No." His defiant response catches both Dronzer and Morg off guard, silencing the room. Letting out a sigh, Morg asks why Vikir is there. He assumes Vikir, like the others, is there to appeal for a scholarship he failed to obtain. Dronzer looks confused as Vikir dismisses Morg's assumption. She questions what he meant by appeal, clearly not expecting his real reason for being there. Without a word, Vikir slams a large, heavy pouch onto the professor's desk. The weight of it immediately draws attention. Vikir calmly explains that he didn't come to beg for a scholarship. He came to pay his tuition fees in full, using the gold he earned. Morg is stunned, his eyes widening at the sight of the shining gold coins. The amount leaves him speechless. Professor Morg, still shocked, asks Vikir where he managed to get so much money. Dronzer, also surprised, listens closely to the response. Vikir casually explains that he earned it during a Knoll subjugation mission. In a stroke of bizarre luck, a fire he lit, while resting, accidentally destroyed the Knoll's entire lair. Morg struggles to believe the story, calling it nonsensical. Vikir remains calm, suggesting he confirm it with Minipins, the Sherpa who accompanied him. He then asks if the gold is enough to cover next term's tuition. Morg is left speechless. Sweat trickles down his face as he stares at the pile of gold, unable to find a response. Morg inspects the gold and admits it's more than enough. Not just for a term, but enough to cover 4 full years of tuition in one payment. Vikir, however, reveals that the extra gold is also meant for tuition fees, just not only his. Morg jokes that it's enough to buy out a whole lecture hall. Vikir calmly responds, asking Morg to use the remaining funds to help students who are struggling financially. Dronzer turns to him, surprised and speechless. Shocked, Morg confirms if Vikir is truly donating the money. Vikir nods, but with a condition. Those who receive the aid must complete volunteer hours at the orphanage in return. Morg asks if Vikir's true motive is to have a scholarship named after himself. Vikir calmly declines, requesting to list the donor as anonymous. Instead, he asks to name the scholarship Perry. Dronzer gasps, clearly moved and emotionally caught off guard by the name. With quiet sincerity, Vikir repeats his request to name the award Perry, showing this act of generosity is deeply personal and meaningful. Word spreads across the academy about a massive donation. Students learn that volunteering at the orphanage can now earn them full scholarships, with no exceptions between nobles and commoners. As whispers spread about the mysterious donation, students wonder who the anonymous sponsor was. Dronzer, seated in silence, clutches her papers, deep in thought. She quietly asks herself the question haunting her. Vikir? Who the hell are you? Her expression shows a mix of awe and confusion. Vikir's reputation only grows. He topped the theory exams, excelled in practicals, and remained a model student with no conflicts. His image continues to puzzle those around him. Despite his cold gaze and unreadable demeanor, his words from that day echo in her memory. Please make the award's name be Perry. A brief memory surfaces. Perry, a kind-hearted poor child, was tragically lost in the battle against Dantalion. Her loss still lingers in Vikir's heart. Her bright smile remains vivid in his mind. Despite everything, Vikir hasn't forgotten her, choosing to honor her through his anonymous act. Realizing this, the narrator reflects, beneath Vikir's cold and distant exterior lies a warm heart, one shaped by pain and remembrance. Dronzer watches him silently, eyes wide and cheeks faintly red, as a new understanding begins to grow within her, about who Vikir truly is. Dronzer walks down a quiet hallway, stopping in front of Vikir's door. Her heart feels heavy. She needs to talk to him, though she's unsure why. She knocks gently, unsure if it's guilt or responsibility driving her. After all, she witnessed Perry's final moments during the battle with Dantalion. The door opens, but it's not Vikir who greets her. It's a younger boy, surprised to see her standing there. He nervously addresses her as Senior Dolores.
This is the end of the video. If you guys want to see the next part, then don't forget to subscribe and like the video.